Well, welcome to Hello Chaos, the show where founders, innovators, and chaotic minds get real and unfiltered about the mess, the magic, and the mayhem of entrepreneurship. I'm Jennifer, or JJ, your host and fellow work in progress. And today we have Marina Paul. She is founder of Superhera, and that's a female athletic apparel company, and author of Becoming a Superhero. Been looking forward to this all week. Welcome to the show. Welcome to our little chaos, as we call it.
Same. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be in an environment that
Yeah,
a lot of people understand what goes on in your day-to-day life, where in the outside world, not a lot of people
that's right.
understand what a founder's life is
That's right.
like.
It is chaos. But it's welcomed chaos. We've said it's welcomed chaos.
Yeah.
You know, I said this in another to another founder. They were like, "I love the name," and I was like, "But our team hesitated when we brainstormed names for the podcast and other
hmm
things. You know, chaos. When we polled founders, the word chaos kept coming up. But a lot of our team, who they've been in corporate environment for years, they were like, chaos feels that's anxiety to me. That like gives me. And I said, but the difference is it's the mindset of the entrepreneur of we welcome it. Sometimes
Right.
we thrive in it. We want to structure it and eventually, organize it to be able to scale and accelerate. But it is that the world of chaos for
It
us for
is.
the most part. And I'm so glad that you are now a fellow South Carolinian.
I'm so happy to
Welcome
be
to
here.
Charleston.
Thank you. I know. It's such an amazing town. The people here are amazing. I'm from the West Coast, lived in the Northeast, now live in the South, and I'm loving learning from like a cultural perspective how things are different, how the pace is,
Yeah,
and
it is very different.
it is very different. It's
Yeah,
nice though. A lot of Northeasterners are moving down south, and the chiller lifestyle
is calling
is
them.
nice. Yes.
Yeah. People are a little bit kinder here. But yeah, I came from the Midwest, and the pace was something it you had to really get used to. It
Mhm.
was especially I came from big agency and corporate, and it was hard because I was flying, and people
Mhm.
were like, you got done with everything in like a day. And I was like, bring it on. Let's go.
I know. I
Let's
know. There's
move.
like there's an inner and outer conflict. You're like, I'm supposed to move so fast, but
And
everything else is slower around me.
I
But
need to
it's
like pace myself, get used to it.
I know. I just think that building a company in a little bit of a slower pace is actually kind of nice because you have to move so quickly, as you know, with a
Yeah.
startup.
Yeah, startup, you don't get a reprieve really, no
You
matter where
don't.
culturally.
You don't. But then you can, step outside, go to the beach and relax.
Yes, 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 yes. And how long? When did you move to South Carolina?
In April
April.
2025. So I've
Also, like a month.
yeah, I've been
So
here physically here for like 3 weeks because I travel a lot for work. So yeah, and every free moment I've spent at the beach.
wow.
I'm a mermaid, so meaning I just love the water and the ocean.
Wow. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Well, start us out. Just how did Superhera come about? Why athletic apparel? I'm always fascinated. I love talking to founders
Mhm.
and startups in the apparel and or CPG kind of packaging
Mhm.
gear because it is so challenging with manufacturing, finding right partners, retailers. Do you go direct to consumer? How do it's packaging and the e-commerce side. It's so much more complex than I don't think a lot of people recognize.
Yeah.
And being a female founder, we've heard, it's you guys it's a small audience, or not an audience, it's a small community
Mhm.
of females in this space and trying to find footing. So I love talking to you guys. So just why
Yeah.
why
Yeah. So I was a college soccer player at Georgetown University. Grew up in Southern California. Georgetown was my dream school. They also happened to be very good at soccer. So it was kind of a perfect situation for me. I went there and I didn't experience uniforms not fitting there for the first time. Uniforms never fit me when I was a kid. whether I was the right size. And then I grew a ton in high school. And all of a sudden, everything was just like tremendously ill fitting on me. And psychologically, it was weird because, you're getting stronger, faster, bigger.
Right.
You are getting better at your sport because of all those things. But yet the gear didn't fit me, and then it started to fit me even worse.
Right.
Whether I
And
was
then you can't
volleyball,
feel comfortable. Like you can't,
soccer,
yeah.
yeah, you're not comfortable. And I think that, there's a huge athleisure market. When you actually look at the sports performance market, there's a few very big players, and there hasn't been a ton of innovation in the space, particularly for women. So when I got to Georgetown, it was a phenomenal experience. I definitely struggled with body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and things like that. Sportswear didn't cause necessarily that thought. I had already had this perfectionist mindset of, we want to be the best soccer team in the
Right.
country. I want to excel at a very challenging school where you're constantly competing with all your classmates to make a grade curve. And the sports are reinforced and my body wasn't fit for the sport. And so the culmination of all of that led to me just really hating my body. And the one thing I could control was not eating or
Yeah.
reducing food intake. And it wasn't just me who was doing it. I noticed it across a lot of my teammates. I noticed it across a lot of other women's sports. You would just, see women really struggle with it. And more often than not, a huge driver of that was the athletic apparel that just reinforced you didn't fit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of female athletes have this perception of like, if I describe my friend who's an athlete, or if I describe another female athlete, I will describe her as strong and confident. But we recently conducted a survey with Notre Dame that really took a look at how female athletes actually describe themselves. And it wasn't those things. It was, I should look like this, but I restrict food intake because the perception of how a woman should be, a female athlete should be, is very slim, is very feminine, is very beautiful, not super athletic, a
Right.
national championship winner, and all of those things. And I just saw this like cultural clash of being in the locker room with all these very powerful, amazing women who were first team All Americans in soccer, also studying organic chemistry to become doctors. Yet we were all struggling with this outside appearance. And it was, again, reinforced by our sports were not fitting. So I decided to start Superhera because I wanted to create better fitting uniforms for female athletes, whether that's the middle school athlete who starts sports for the first time, because we've noticed that uniforms are one of the biggest barriers to girls entering and playing sports, especially in marginalized communities where they don't have access to a sports bra and things like that. But having to wear a guy's uniform when you first start sports, that doesn't feel good. And if you're not good and you don't have the sports infrastructure in your family, you're not going to stay in sports because that's going to be another reinforcer that you don't fit the sport. And then to the high school athlete who makes varsity for the first time, to the Division I college athlete who wants to be a professional athlete, and to the professional athlete, we noticed that fit was the biggest issue for all of these athletes. And if we could change the fit of sportswear, we could change the experience and love for the game and how women actually view themselves.
Yeah. More empowerment. Right.
A lot more empowerment, and I think it's putting it into the hands of the female athlete. I'm very obviously interested in the sports world and women's sports world, and I think the women's sports world is going through a categorical shift right now where for so long we can look at a men's sports system and say, yeah, that worked really well for men. Should we copy and paste that for women? And what we're seeing is no, we
Right.
need to invest in things that are natively and uniquely female athlete oriented, whether it's the design of the schedule so it works best with women's health, or whether it's the fit of their clothing so that it actually fits them and it's not designed for a male body, then just shrunk down to fit women.
Right. So you have this idea going into apparel.
Hmm.
Did
Yes.
you have
My
how
background?
the
No.
background? How did that like how did you start the design process?
Yes.
Did you have to find talk to me about that?
How to go
Like
about it?
just to get like you have this you find the gap, you see it, you're like I have the solution, but now how do I create my product?
For sure. I will say I had an experience working for consumer coffee beverage when I first graduated college. I was like the eighth hire, ran their marketing, and they were my best friends from college, and I saw them start it in the dorm room. And so I'm like, I love them, but I'm like, these guys can do it. I can figure out a way to do it too. They're again very, very smart, but I just saw what it took to create something. And the biggest thing that it takes is like grit and perseverance and just like keeping
Courage. Yeah.
continuous think yeah, and figuring things out. Trying things, failing at it a lot to help you figure it out. So I had that background and the confidence to do it. I moved home with my parents to save all my money. It was during COVID. And then I started to study the manufacturing industry.
Uh,
I started manufacturing in LA because I believe in domestic production. I also wanted to be hands-on and learning. I think it's the athlete mentality of like, I need you to show me the drill and I need to practice it a million times to get it
right. I
right.
need to see it. I need to
Right.
see how
I
yeah.
didn't feel comfortable going to I'm not opposed to international manufacturing, but I didn't understand how manufacturing worked, so I wanted to exactly see with my own eyes. People said it was gonna be the biggest barrier to my success, so I was like, "Okay,
But
well, I'm
it
gonna make this my greatest asset."
yeah.
So, I started studying that. I noticed there's a huge discrepancy between the customer and what the sewer is actually creating.
Yeah.
A lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll take a short off the shelf and say, "Oh, this is a really good Lululemon short. Go recreate this for me and brand my name on it."
Right.
But there's in that entire process, the customer is like not involved. And I had known that female athletes have been so disconnected from being involved in the process. So I tried to integrate the female athlete and introduce them to the sewer, saying directly, like, this is their feedback of what
Right.
they need for a soccer short
Help
and
me
give it to them.
design the template.
Right. And how I
Yeah.
went about that. I mean, what I learned from the original startup is like, you just have to be scrappy and ask questions and being like, okay, what are the inputs to make a short? I need fabric. I need someone to sew it. I'm not going to learn how to sew because that would just take way too much time. So I need a factory. And you just kind of go piece by piece and slowly figure things out. And you're going to pick the wrong factory for sure. You're going to waste money on things like that. You're going to waste money on marketing, but you kind of keep iterating. So I just kept this mentality of like, I just want to keep iterating on this and build the best possible product for female athletes. I started selling it kind of direct to consumer, but I realized my space, I did not want to be like a Biore, Lululemon, athleisure company. I
Right.
was like, this is for sports performance. So now I need to go sell this to schools. I need to go sell this to club teams. What we ended up and I'm fast forwarding a little bit. What I ended up discovering was it wasn't necessarily the apparel that we wanted to fix. Like, if you think about the end product of apparel, producing apparel is somewhat commoditized. Like, it's relatively easy to find a factory to make something, but understanding the fit and predicting the fit of female athletes' unique body shapes and
Yeah.
their sport specific movements and needs was like transformational. So in the last couple of months, we've evolved from a company that was solely, manufacturing the team uniforms to a company that can predict the best fitting sportswear for female athletes by body type, by sport. And then we work actually with the big apparel brands to license them our technology. So yeah,
Yeah,
a little
no,
fast
I
forward
mean,
there.
no, that's I was gonna ask, like, what was how has the brand evolved?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, oh gosh, Nike has this whole division of just like, I don't think people realize how much science they have within their team, and same with, other brands like Nike, and they want a license to, so I don't know if that's one of your, and then also working in the textile industry that, the cut and sew is that, critical,
Mhm.
but also in textile, like the performance of what's the ingredient in the textile. what's, with the, the microbands and the silver with the, the no stink and the, all of that and the wicking. And I mean, there's a lot of technology and textile.
There's so much technology. There's, like you said, there's so much more that goes into it. And I think the unique position of startups is that we have to realize what the big dogs do really well and
Hmm.
where they need help. And I think of it as like they're this massive battleship, and for them to like make any sort of turn is like a monumental shift.
Right.
And I saw that because I worked in consulting with for these companies, like automotive companies that were they wanted to make a big amount of change. It takes an entire organizational shift and it's so much
But
work.
they can outsource it and go, let's
Exactly.
bring these partners in and we can be agile, we can be more nimble and meet their end user, their consumer need.
Exactly. So that's the whole mentality I used. And I was like, why would I go try to recreate distribution that Nike and Adidas and Puma and New Balance
They
already
all have.
have? I'm
But
just
you have
gonna
something that they need.
exactly. And
Yeah.
we have the voice we have the female athlete network that not a lot of them have the personal relationships with. Like I can text any female athlete and we'll find someone in common where it's really hard for an executive to text them and form a very unique relationship with them.
Right, right. Well, what's been the most challenging? Like when you're like, oh, what have I done? Have you had, I call them the oh shit moments. Like, what has been the biggest barrier challenge that you've had to face? And have you, how did you overcome it?
I think I'll explain two things. One, I think on a daily basis, it's the knowing that things are not always going to be perfect, and when you get feedback, it's a closer to where you need to go potentially to make your product better. I think I'm just a very competitive athlete type of
You're like, I'm
personality.
going to be the best.
Yes, and so I have that drive about everything and which is great, but I think it's a barrier in terms of when I get very positive feedback, on a piece of shorts because we do still sell apparel, and then someone gives me negative feedback, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we need to change the entire short."
Yeah.
And so, obviously, the technology helps us with that because it helps us understand from more of like a scientific level. But I think with that, it's, oh, well, why doesn't it work for you? Like, let me get feedback on
Right,
how we can potentially improve it for you. But I had to realize that all the harsh feedback I got early on was actually the impetus for how I started to create this technology company. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, women have so many different preferences on the fit that they like because we all have such different body types and none of us know what type of body type we truly have. We kind of like guess at it,
right,
but we don't know what fits us and nothing is geared towards fitting us. So this is all of this feedback I'm getting is actually the strongest asset I could have.
right.
But before, I mean, I wanted to quit some nights because you go to dress a high school team and they're like, we hate the shorts. And you're just like, I just want to, why am I doing this? But I had to like reframe that. So I think that's like a daily thing is just, I love getting feedback and I hate it because you're like, it's not, if I tell myself it's something that I'm doing wrong when I get the feedback, then it's tough. But if I reframe it and I'm like, this is to make us better.
Yeah. I think that's a great lesson. My other company, it's a marketing firm and
Hmm.
we call ourselves a curiosity driven agency, not a data driven or an ROI driven,
Mm-hmm.
because that'll come if we're hyper curious. Because we have found that not just, founders, but CEOs, executive, people in the corporate world, there is a fear of feedback, a fear of, looking data is only as good if you understand the why behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what you're going through is kind of like the lessons learned of feedback is good. It's constructive. Um, and kind of learning around, yes, it might be critical or it might be negative, but it's a data set. It can be an insight that really breaks through, whether you're talking to your, you know, consumer, your employees, getting feedback there. How engaged are they? Like you said,
Yeah.
like really hearing back from the end user, but also the manufacturers, the cut and sew, the retail, your retail partners of,
Yeah.
and it helps you validate where your lane is, where your value proposition is, and what you said, like, this is what we own. This is the space that we're gonna, we're gonna own. No, and it's gonna be really, really hard for anybody to compete with us because we've created this little engine.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that is a lesson that I'm gonna tell you. Like the fact that you're learning this now and you've kind of honed where Superhera is as a brand and where you fit. You've learned a lesson that when I work with CEOs of companies that have been around for 50 years, they're still struggling with having the humility, but also just the mindset of it's data. Insights are good, and you got to get the data to then ask the why behind it. Like, we tell people your website, it says, or you're getting 60% of your sales are coming from women. Why?
Yeah.
What about your brand? What about your product that engages women? Or, your employees are saying, you've got the reason I'm saying employees, LinkedIn did a huge workplace confidence survey, and it's like we're nationally, employees are feeling worse in the tank than they did during the height of COVID. So disconnected, less engaged, unsatisfied, and well, it's like, well, who has surveyed their employees to
Right.
find out
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah. And I think that again, I really everything back to sports, but you have film session with your coach to
Mhm.
show you see all the ticks by your name and you're like, oh great, this is gonna be, a day where I figure out how bad of a soccer player I am. But you have mostly bad, but a good amount of good moments. And I just think about those moments because they were so visual in my brain of like, oh, if I can just translate this on the field, start getting better at
Right.
it, practice. I know that it makes me better and it's hard in the moment, but I also know that like the more I watched film, the less sensitive I got and emotional I got towards it. And I realized it just made me better and better and better and refining. And so I kind of became obsessed with it. So I think the same way about our business, it's not hard to hear. I mean, it's very hard to hear
Well,
when
it's so
you're
hard.
yeah,
Ugh,
when it's your baby and or if it's not and you're like putting so much of yourself into it and then something's going wrong. But I just look at it as like, hey, these people actually care to give me feedback. So how do I still put female athletes and women at the center to where it's like their voices actually matter and are
right.
heard and help to improve our fit? Because I think that in itself is transformational in the apparel industry. Because
Absolutely.
most of the designs are driven by men.
Yeah. 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 I don't know if you've read the White Fragility book.
I think I like read it during COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fascinating book white fragility, but also just how much science and products and stuff are designed around men,
Mm-hmm.
and women are like our medicine, um, automotive, car product, like gear, everything, and it's not designed with for different genders.
Right. And I think that at first, I was mad about that, but now I'm like, this
There's
gives
an
me a
opportunity.
business opportunity. Like I get to create
Absolutely.
whatever I want now. And I'm seeing I have so many female founder friends who are like starting these amazing companies. And now it's like the best shampoo that I could have
That's
gotten, the
right.
best makeup. And I'm like, thank you.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's what we've seen, the surgence. I think when that book came out, which I think it was around like 29, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the insurge, like the flow of startups in shampoo, especially around like cancer, after breast cancer treatment, and like skincare for women coming out of those treatments, where there were a lot of stuff already designed for men, but not for women and their skincare.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we saw a flood of startups in the market, and yeah, it's opportunity
Yeah,
because there's a gap, and there's a need.
there is.
And so yeah, fascinated by that. And I'm so glad that the mindset that you're talking about it, because it's so key to be curious, to ask the why, to validate, and balance out of like, hey, I'm not going to make decisions based on assumptions.
Mhm.
Nor am I going to make decisions based on, feedback of like one or two, but how does that feed into the machine that we're trying to build and just continually validating that? That is unbelievable. I mean, that is
Yeah.
so powerful, and it will completely accelerate you years.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say there's one other thing too, the shit moments is like there's a lot of I find myself comparing myself a lot, which is, something I work
Yeah.
on the side. Personal life, right? Because what creating a business, it becomes personal. And though I try to separate my identity from it, I've poured my entire personal savings into it. It is what I do every day, all day, even on weekends. And anyone who's close to me in my life knows intimately all the details of my business, which there is a separation, I think, when you're in the corporate world with that. I think there's a comparison part that I'm trying to learn.
Mm,
Again, I can be competitive with myself, but not comparing myself to other companies and female founders that are taking off, and more so having an abundance mindset of like we can all, I
that's
think,
right.
exist, which is again not what I was taught in sports. So
Yeah.
it's like a counterintuitive kind of feeling. And that's and I think when I compare myself too much, or even my friends who are in corporate who make a ton of money, whose couches I sleep on when I go travel, like it would be really nice to have this.
Yeah.
And I think that I try to stay really focused on the mission that I'm solving, the impact that I'm having, and making sure that I'm living a fulfilling life for myself. And at the end of the day, I'm really proud of what I've created.
No, I think it's something that I think we all have to focus on that. I took me decades to learn that, and I still struggle with that. I mean,
Mhm.
when I turned 50 a few years ago, I'm 50-ish. I don't say my age, but but when I turned, like, I feel like I was having my own coming of age story of, because you're like, I was doing the comparison. I really didn't know. I was struggling with defining myself outside of the business, and really, and where's my voice?
Mhm.
Having the companies, but where do I sit? And getting used to, and I just want to go back to also something you said about like watching the films, and it gets easier, that practice of being self critical, or kind of overcoming I call them the ghosts
Mhm.
of errors
Mhm.
past. And I journal, and not like I don't journal like journal. I write down 3 questions at the end of the night, and I started doing this a couple years ago on an advice from another founder. I what was the what where did I find joy today? My most, biggest joy moment. What did I feel most vulnerable? Like, what was my crap, like,
Mhm.
shit moment? And then what am I most looking forward to tomorrow? And it's interesting, the things, when I go back and flip through, the things that I was critiquing myself on, or that I was beating myself up on, were so stupid. Like, now it's just, you kind of have those, just writing them down and then self reflecting. And then it's like when you acknowledge them, just to like put it down and have that moment, then the next time it happens, it's like those things aren't even hitting the journal. Like the
Mhm.
challenges they're not that big a deal. And I
Mhm.
struggle now with like filling out that number 2, that second question. But it's like that fuel
Yeah.
to that plays, like getting practice, and where you're struggling, we hear a lot from founders, especially female founders who are in the startup. Maybe they're in they're in the scale up phase, and their whole brand is identified around the company. And we've kind of worked, because I had to do it through myself. I caught through the joy lab of
Mhm.
finding my own, because we build brand guidelines and stuff for companies, personality, and what's the ethos, and here's the content strategy, and here's the themes of how this company is going to go forward. How does the company show up in all of its touch points? We recognize that founders needed that same
Mhm.
exercise, and so I kind of redesigned the workshop, the activities, to be more personal, reflective, to help founders kind of rediscover who their voice is, what their
Mhm.
style is, how do they show up differently as themselves as a founder, but also as a, like, I'm a mom of four, and and I have other things that I'm passionate about. How do I show up?
Uh-huh.
And what are my themes, and how do I articulate that? But I'm seeing that more and more. We're hearing um not necessarily the struggle, but just more of the desire of recognizing of, I don't want to be tied so much. I want the brand to breathe on its
Mhm.
own,
Mhm.
and let it have its own freedom, and not be like just directly tied to the success of that personal identifier. And especially when I've worked with some other, there's a CEO here in the upstate, and he's a scale, but the brand needs to go have its freedom because he's trying to build the category. The category doesn't exist, and he has to say things that the company brand
Mhm.
can't. So we needed to separate that. And so he has the freedom to kind of go, I call it go rogue, and really be himself and push, but yet let the brand and its content and its value, everything stand alone, where sometimes it can lift, but sometimes he's got to go and push that envelope. And I think that is something that, like, we found is a gap,
Mhm.
and it's a need. But I think you're starting to feel it and go, where do I show up? You're starting to ask all those good questions,
Yeah.
and it's a fun journey.
Yeah.
It's been refreshing for me. It's been a way for me to focus when I've done it for myself. So, but
I'm
it looks like
sure.
you're in that process.
Yeah, and I think it's like you mentioned, a larger question of, I hope to have kids someday. So not getting an identity that's so caught up in being a mom either. Like being a mom, being the best I can be, but also not making that like my sole only purpose in
Right.
life, which
Right.
is the way I believe it. But some people, disagree with that. But same as a founder, it's like, how can I be a founder, build the best company, put all my passion towards it, but
Right.
not have my identity tied to it?
Right. So how do you encompass all of that? Right?
Yeah.
Under one, platform, one voice, because we're all multifaceted as people and humans, and we all show up differently.
Hmm.
And I think there was an old school, I want to say old school, it was 10, 15 years ago. I think there was a lot of, and I saw it more from women that would go, I have my personal LinkedIn or Instagram, and I have my business Instagram, or I have my personal Facebook, and then they were struggling with keeping up with these two, like, what are the voices? And I was like, and I never had that one. It was just like, look, I am what I am. I'm a mom. And at the time I was still in at a large agency and running, um, departments and people, and just juggling, right? Like household, running 6 calendars, and uh, family. But I was like, I can barely handle my social platform. I can't even imagine having duplication.
Hmm.
But yeah, they were like, a lot of these same women were like, you can't, you shouldn't be talking about like your children on this, like, and then the next post you talk about, you're going to go maybe a keynote somewhere. And I'm like, why?
Yeah. Wait, I feel like
Why?
that's more powerful.
Why can't I?
Yeah.
But I'm seeing, like, the last 5 year, a lot of those same women that are all now deleting one of their, and they're folding them in and integrating them. It's just everyone has to go on that journey of, we all can show up as one and talk
Yeah.
about, and I think it is. I think it's more powerful. I think it's more empowering to, for others to see that. Man, like, I want to see a CEO that, how is he juggling um, kids and household and
Hmm.
family, and not just have this stale, post on the business. I
For
want to
sure.
see, and especially startups and founders, I want to see how. What's the magic of their life?
Yeah.
How are they
Yeah.
doing it?
And I think the place I'm coming out of now is been so my mindset in a way and showing up publicly was so caught in like how are I've evolved, so how am I gonna show that online? Because most of the people that follow me know me as like the person from high school,
Right.
college, like right after, and I've evolved so much in the last 10
Right.
years
Let them
that it's
see
like
it.
I'm
Let them
fundamentally
see that
different.
evolution.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think it's like breaking up with your old self or having conversation with that and being like, I'm not this person anymore.
Right.
And so I'm an evolved version and I want to go in this direction.
Right.
But it is like a scary thing to be like, this is a new me. Like this is
Right.
really me, but this is a new me. And like how do
That's
I
right.
show up publicly but be all of me? And I used to be very, very private.
Yep. I'm same way.
And, you
Was
know,
one of the reasons I started this podcast was to get me out of the comfort of I was a behind the scenes person. I didn't really post a lot. Like if I did, it was very filtered,
mhm,
very curated, and after the advice of my team, kind of going through, like I said, my coming of age or whatever. And it was because we had to reflect on like the business was struggling coming out of nobody wanted, marketing was horrible, and really trying to how do we redefine the business, and our brand and our value proposition. Well, part of that was I was getting pushed by the team to go, you need to put yourself out there. Your voice needs to be heard. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. You need to get out there and network. No, I'm an introvert. I don't like to do it. I'll hold up the wall at the back of a room. I'm like, I don't. Jennifer, you have all this great, content. You have content galore. You could, you need to put it out there. And it took, and Chandler's going to laugh because he's in here about a year. And it took me the entire year, first year he was here, me talking about it. And right, it was like, I talked about it a lot and I had it. I would write it. And I was like, I'm like, I can't post this. I can't post this. This is insane.
like this is cringy.
And I would do these photo shoots, and people were like, where are the pictures? You did this huge photo shoot." I'm like, oh
I know.
no, nobody needs to see that. And then I gave myself a challenge because I do a 641 challenge. Another founder. I heard this from them, and I love it. I'm in my third year doing it. It's the 641 challenge. Of I don't know if you've heard this. But it's find 6 mini advent like so every other month create a mini adventure.
Mm,
Experience something new you've never done with, whether with my kids or just with yourself or maybe with friends. Just do something new, say yes to something that you would have never done, and do it about every other month. And so at the end of the year, you'll have 6 mini adventures. And then once a quarter, adopt a habit, adopt a discipline, and stay true to it. And then at the end of the year, you'll have 4 new habits. And then the one thing is like, what's the one kind of defining thing of the year? Last year we took a big trip as a family. This year I'm writing a book. So I do want to hear more about your book, but yeah, I'm working on. But one of the disciplines that I took was to start first quarter of this year was I'm going to post every day on LinkedIn. It was like a stream of consciousness, whatever, just to do it. And then after about 30 days, I was like, I really like this. I have all this content. I do have a lot to say. And then it was okay, well, now I need to kind of put myself out there. Now I need to, like I need to tell people who I am because they don't know who I am.
mhm,
I need to show some of the photos that people are like, this photo's great. When did you just do this? I was like, a year ago. Like that photo shoot was last May. I'm just getting around to having courage to like post some stuff. And then, yeah, second quarter was like, I needed to step it up and go because another founder was like, I love your stuff. Like, you're totally have inspired. I've stumbled upon your stuff. You've totally inspired me, but I feel like you're holding back. I still feel like there's something you're trying to say and you're not being bold enough. So I gave myself a Lent during Lent, which almost hit like second quarter, was
mhm,
I'm going to give a 40-day be bold challenge and I'm going to take off the filter. But I had to stay true to my style guide, that
mhm,
personal style guide of, you know, I'm only going to talk about these themes. this is how this is how I want to show up. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to write about. And also, and it gives clarity around kind of, this is the stuff. If someone's like, write about this, I'm like, no, that I don't have interest in that. I could have a comment on that subject and I might do a comment, but I'm not going to write an article about it.
Yeah.
That's not my themes that I want to focus on. That's not what I want people to know about me. That's not how I want to inspire people and empower people. So even having my style guide kind of gave me a little bit more focus too, to know how to be bolder in the areas that I feel really, really confident and comfortable, and I can be consistent in doing that. So yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
No, that's great.
That's
I
my
think it's yeah, I think I look at it at the end of the day, I'm gonna make a fool of myself with some of these videos. They're gonna be so stupid and cringy. But at the end of the day, I know that like I can come home. I have someone who loves
That's right.
me. I have
They
parents
love
who
you
love
for
me.
you.
I have friends who love me, who know me, and like I have my inner circle and I'm good. Like
That's
I
right.
don't need anything else. So if I make a fool of myself, they're the
It's
first ones
okay.
to like it and make fun of me for it. And it's great. And like, and I move on. And I just having that, and you're like, when I have to get into it, it's like, okay, I'm still gonna have people that like me at the end of this, which
That's
is my
right.
inner circle,
Have
so
you
it doesn't
started it?
matter.
Because I think I'm gonna have to come up with my next challenge. Because Chandler's also gonna laugh at me. I have hesitated on doing videos.
I love videos. They're so much
I
easier for
have
me.
recorded videos actually,
How
and
do
they've
you,
been silly.
I was gonna say, how do you not do videos? You're like
I
on
do the
video.
I know, but there's like a lot of little bit, like I have little scripts that I have around, what we do, how we do it, those kind of like the how to's
Mm,
that I do, that are not necessarily what I write about in the articles and stuff around marketing, and or just like foundership and stuff. There's a lot of other little, and Chandler laughs because I just need to do it. And you're right. I know it's going to be foolish. I've even tried, like, I couldn't get my selfie stick. So I like recorded 4 or 5 videos, and I was like, okay, I did it. Go. And then we recorded them, like, it was the top of my head. I didn't get my full frame.
that should be your first video of being
I
like,
know. It was
this
like,
is,
oh, this is horrible.
yeah.
Delete, delete, delete. Chandler's like, just go out and do it. And I'm like, I know.
Should just
So yes.
screenshot that and then do like a green screen of it and being like, this is so funny. And someone's anxiety about recording my first video and I didn't even get my full head
And
in the
I didn't
picture.
even, I got the top of my head. So there you go.
People would love
Can you
that.
hear me?
Real.
I should have. But yeah, I gotta be bolder. So that's gonna be my next discipline of like, I'm gonna need to do video. I have to create a challenge because I come from, competitive in sports in high school, and I didn't go as far as you did in college. I was at a walk on of a decathlete for Indiana University.
Wow. That's tough.
It is. And I don't even know how I didn't make it through. I think I went through like indoor track that first, never got in a competition because I'm 5'5" and I was like 105 pounds. And if you ever saw any of the decathletes at any of the universities, these women are 6 foot,
Jacked.
jacked, 100 and, 60, 70, just pure muscle. And, my thing was sprints and the hurdles and the high jumps. For as a little person, I was I could do a lot of things, but I I was very intimidated. And my coach, you could like you're small but mighty, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is I am so out of place, so out of place.
But you tried it.
But I did it. I feel like I'd check that box. But I am super competitive when you're right. It doesn't stop. Like you do look around the competition. Your business is that sport for you, and you can't let it fail. Right? Like you
Yeah,
will.
you can. But I
So you
think
have to
too
surround
much.
yourself with people, like good people. You have to have a good team.
Yeah. And I just think though that sometimes too much focus on the competition, you just lose sight of what you do,
That's right.
which is like, it's not really about the competition. It's like about your competitors. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, it's about your customers.
Right. No, no.
Yeah.
That is That is huge lesson. Because I see all this stuff and like marketing junk out there, and there's just a lot of bad actors and bad advice that it gets floated out there. And we've always like, if you put your customer, the end user, in the center of your company, the focus, and all your values, your promise, everything is driven by their engagement, their satisfaction, the love, the perceptions and attitudes of those end users, and design the company around that. Your goals, the objectives, your strategies all should be centered around their interactions with you, right? As the brand. And there's too much junk out there of people going, "Oh, do you want to see what your competitors are doing? Because you need to copy them." And
Yeah.
we have to come back and go, "Why? You don't even know what their strategy, they could be working off, junk data. They could be working off actual like how their customers interact with them, not how they interact with you, like your brand. So you've got to design your go to market strategy around your data, your insights, the perceptions and attitudes around the customers you're trying to reach and engage with and build an experience around. And then how do you get the channel, whoever, however removed you are from that end user, how do you tell that story all the way through that channel?
Uh-huh.
And every business is different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those are my videos that I have hidden of like, stop listening to this junk of copy your competitors where they're spending in ads, copy your competitors of where they're spending, like how they're doing SEO, because it doesn't work. You're going to waste time and money because you're focused on the wrong thing. I mean, the only thing that you need to be worried about from your competitors is, how does your brand, what are the perceptions and attitudes that they have with you in comparison to the competitors? And let that drive maybe some business insight to go, now, what strategies and tactics do we have to do to shape and
Uh-huh.
change those perceptions to get them to love us more?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we build a company around the experience to get, whether it is the channel, whether it's our people, our employees, how do we get them to love, our customers? How do we get them to love our business more?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it should be focused on. Those are my little videos. There you go.
Be great.
um, Marina, what's something that you wish, that you've kind of done? You really kind of get into that introspective of yourself, but what's something that you really like about yourself that you wish other people recognized more?
I don't know if people recognize this, but I'm like, can be very intense and extremely goofy. And I'm like, don't always show that goofy side at work. A lot of my friends know this, but I guess what I love about myself is that I've learned to exist as both.
Hmm.
And I wish people understood more that you can be like light, goofy, fun, and
Yeah.
also
Serious
hard and
business.
driven at this
Yeah.
and intense at the same time. And like all of those are okay to show
Yeah.
up, especially at work too. Cause I have to have like fun and goofiness in my day or
Yeah.
it doesn't feel fulfilling.
How would you change that?
I just start showing up more like that. I think, yeah, I just start showing up more
Have some
as,
Marina moments
yeah,
with your team.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that, as women, as I don't even know if I want to generalize as women, but like as myself, it's like, oh, people aren't going to take me seriously. I'm like,
Yeah.
but I just think that people nowadays want just more authentic leadership.
They want humanity. I mean, yeah, they want authenticity. So, okay, so you worked in corporate world before
Mhm.
you did all this. Were there myths or perceptions you had about being a founder, starting a business that and after you're into it, or maybe you're still, you're into it now and you're like, they lied. Like, let me break these myths.
I did so I was my first paid job, my first salary job was with a startup. So I kind of already knew. So that's like the perception I had going into it. I feel like I went to corporate and I was like, "Oh, this is not what I expected." And then I went back to founder world because I felt more comfortable
More
here.
at ease.
I think there's a myth around grind culture. I think like you need to work unbelievably hard, but unlike corporate, where corporate you already have the security of a salary, you have the
Right.
security of like for the most part, other people on your team as a founder starting something from zero and you don't have a team, you don't have revenue, and you have to create all of that and you just are living off your own salary or sorry, your own savings. I think there is, I think grind culture is a myth because if you, especially as a female and like female energy and hormones and all that, if you grind yourself into the ground,
Mhm.
you have nothing left. You don't have a
Right.
team, you don't have anything left. So I think it's not a balance to me. It's just like, right now I'm in season and then I'm like not in season.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily structured like a sports schedule, but I think that so much where it's like you have your practice days, you have your rest day, you have your game days.
Yeah.
And that's how I structure my weeks. So I'm still trying to prove out that myth to myself because I was a part of so many grind cultures and like, but I just don't think I don't produce the best quality product when I'm stuck in that grind.
Right. Well, and you got to do what's like somebody told me this. This was oh, Chandler, who because we talk at our company, we do time blocking, like the strategy of
Mm,
blocking your schedule based on you know, this is my content day of the month. I just I write content, I post content. This is like my content, content
yes.
creation or like my video day or whatever. And these days are I keep these as like office days for clients that can
Yeah.
just open calendar. So everybody
Great.
kind of has these strategic, and we talk with companies who have implemented that across their entire team. So everybody kind of knows yellow for them means that like this is an okay, I can schedule time with them
Hmm.
around these, color codes. But someone was like, "Oh, Jennifer," they're like, "But that's just based on what you do and what maybe is comfortable." Took it one some another company took it one step further and said they do it time block not just on like how they design where those blocks go, it's energy blocking. To
Mm,
go as a founder, I hate the numbers. I get, I have to do it in during times where and I have to block it around things that I have to be immediately picked up.
mm,
So, if I have to spend 3 hours with, my numbers, I got to schedule like a block my calendar to go work out
yeah.
or, go to lunch or, whatever. I got to do something that lifts me up immediately after that. So, and I was like, oh, I never thought about that, how we design kind of our schedule. So I even took like a relook at that to go, am I looking at it not just what's the best day of the week and hours of the day to do things, but yeah, like what am I doing and is it bringing me energy and then how do I feed off that energy to do
Hmm.
other things? And then what drains me and what are things that I need to do around that to like lift me up?
Yeah.
So, and that's what you're doing that. Like how do I design my week around making sure that I don't fall into that
Yeah. Can always be better, but I'm
mental.
trying to.
Yeah. I mean, we're all a work in progress, girl. Fascinated by this. Okay. Um I give you a magic wand today and you want to change two things about your business. What would you change?
I would have very solid full-time people. Right now, I just work with contractors. It's obviously a less expense to the business to some degree, but I think just like having a small dedicated team, I miss having like a team like in sports. And then the second thing is that, yeah, I guess we automate it as much as possible. So
Yeah.
we get to focus on the things that we love doing
Mm,
or the big problems that we want to solve, and that we use AI, automation, whatever we can to automate things as much as possible. So we're making everything extremely efficient.
yeah.
I just, I love doing not even the work I love, but like solving problems. And I
Right.
don't want to, what drains my energy is the minuscule tasks and being unorganized and things. And so I can't wait to get to the stage where everything is pretty automated and,
Right.
which is
Build those
great.
systems. Yeah.
Yeah,
Automate what you can.
the systems.
Systems and processes. It's
Mhm,
that's the secret. That's the
mhm.
magic. Okay, so next year we meet. I'm going to come down to Charleston, or you're going to come up to
Yes.
Greenville. Next summer, what are we celebrating?
We will have integrated with 2 big time apparel companies, and female soccer players will be wearing uniforms uniquely custom fitted for their bodies, designed by
Nice.
us.
Do you get a tag on your,
You know,
if you work with them, is it licensed like, through, is that part of the process of,
this is why I have good lawyers, so I hope so.
let's keep that, yeah, you're the intel inside. Let's keep that
Exactly,
tag on there.
exactly.
Yeah. If you hit rewind on anything, would you do anything different? Now, like things that you know now, if you would have, like, what things do you wish you would have done different?
Yeah, the only thing I would have changed is I spent a lot of money on trying to get people to, like, help with social media and take it over and create the brand for me, and I knew what it was the whole time. And not that people can't help with that, but I just think,
Right.
like, I would have built my personal brand immediately, like,
Right.
started putting myself out there immediately.
The clarity of that. Yeah.
My gosh, and I would have
Yeah.
just saved my own dollars. I would have saved myself so much money, like, it would have helped the business so much, so I'm making sure that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Um, hindsight's 2020.
I know, but that's good.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Okay, so what's the best piece of advice that you have received as a founder, either from another business owner, another founder that you really, you know, you really take to heart?
I think it's the reality. It comes from my friend. She's Norwegian. She started a waffle company in the States. She didn't speak any English. She started making out of church. Then she started making money. So the church kicked her out. And she had to figure out like how to, it's great. These crazy stories. I've also seen her with like negative dollars in her bank account to growing, a very profitable 6-figure business. And what I
On
learned from
waffles.
her
On
on
waffles.
protein waffles. Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, they're so good. What I've learned from her is like, there's just highs and lows, and, like, that's what it is. Like, that's the journey, and I think it's when I understand the process more, in the same way I understand a soccer game,
Yeah.
in the process of getting good. I just, I just chose, like, I can either fall in love with this journey or pick a new one, and I love the journey of it. The successes obviously are great, but I just, like, love learning things. Like, I love failing at them,
The
and
game. You
yeah,
love the
it's such a
game.
game, and I
Yeah.
just love figuring out the game. Honestly, that's, like, the best advice. It's nothing like, crazy scientific or whatever. It's just, like, there's just highs and lows, and it's a game, and just stay in the game.
Yeah. Oh, that's good advice.
Yeah.
What's your advice that you give to others when they go, Marina, should I do this?
Yeah, and oh, totally. Because everyone has an idea. Like, I think that so many people have an idea. My advice always, because I never really, like, trusted my own self, is, like, just figure out how to, like, trust yourself, and when you know how to trust yourself, it'll give you the answers. And it's not necessarily I always was looking for, like, external advice, like, this really successful entrepreneur or person with a lot of money is gonna tell me what I need to know, and or this coach is going to, and, like, I never got the answers from those people, and I couldn't understand why, and it's because it's just not nobody can tell you. You have to go figure it out.
You have it. Yeah, I had a business coach last year, and she's a friend. She's been a CEO 4 times over and always kind of brought our agency, wherever she went. And she's entering her second act, getting her coach's license. She's like, I need a guinea pig. And I was like, good, I'm struggling. Like, I need a coach. And I
Mhm,
was expecting her to I was like, I need advice.
mhm.
And that was kind of that was an aha for me of, she was like, I'm not going to tell you anything.
Yeah,
It's like, what do you mean? It's like, you've been there. You need to tell them. She's like, no, no, you have all the answers inside. And she would ask me these questions, and I would have to sit for days and sometimes a week to go, no idea how to answer this. And then she gave me some exercises to to get me unstuck, to make me think differently. But yeah, the whole experience was like, these things were all inside of me for years. Why didn't I do like,
yeah, we don't
why
know
didn't
how
I
to
engage with this sooner?
we're not taught in school how to listen to ourselves. It's all external validation, and so I just thought when I got really silent and learned how to listen to myself,
Oh, that's so good.
Then I know the answer. But when I ask way too many people and I get way too many people involved, I get just a ton of anxiety. I'm not a naturally anxious person. Yeah.
Well, it's like, where's the filter? Then it makes you stronger. Go, I got to get my filter. Like
Yes.
the
Yes.
discernment.
Blinders and just like create your own. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. My last two questions. Your journey, the
Hmm.
entrepreneur. What word sums that up?
Grit. I just don't quit, whether it was like an athlete. I like to think I'm gritty. Like I like to think that I have a lot of like ideas and da da da. But I just try to stay very focused on like what I'm figuring it out. And like for Maceo, a lot of times came back from it, took our team really far. Was also battling my own eating disorder. It's I just keep going and I just like don't stop.
It is grit.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
reading that book right now, actually, which I don't know why it's taking me so long to read it, but it's amazing. I'm like, God, this is so rewarding to read. Yeah, I would say grit.
And next chapter. How are you? What's the word that's going to define that next chapter in your journey?
I think fun. I think along with that
Yeah.
grit, I made things feel so hard and like it has to be so hard and like
Bring that goofy, that
yeah,
levity
like
back to
we
Marina.
yeah, and Sarah Blakely is like my favorite founder, the
I
founder of
know.
Spanx. She has so much fun. I'm like,
She,
I want to have fun.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean, and she talks about the grit and the hard. Like I love watching her. She's been posting a lot more of the shit she did
yeah,
in her, and I'm sitting there going, "Good Lord!" Like some of the things she came up, I would have never even thought to do. And I feel like I'm pretty, gritty too. But man, I love that. I think it's so inspiring and motivating to a whole nother generation
yeah.
of
She's
founders and
amazing.
entrepreneurs. Okay, we didn't get to talk about. I want to know about like the author. Your superhero book.
Yes.
So what got you to write that?
I wanted to change the direction of my life. I was working in consulting and I didn't see that as my path. And I had gone through a lot of things in college and just with like body confidence and how I thought about myself. And so I just wanted to change the trajectory of my life.
Did you come up with the book before Superhero?
Hmm. Yep.
So you wrote the book before?
Yeah. And so
Okay. And so that led to was that
the
part of
name,
the name?
yeah.
Okay.
In the book, I discovered that females, women, they just want the freedom to perform. So it became the mission for what our clothes would do, which is give female athletes the freedom to perform,
I love it.
whatever that means to them.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you for hanging out and chatting with me today and give me
Yes,
all
of course.
your scoop. You gave such good advice and insights.
Gosh, I will caveat to say, like, this is my learned experience. Nobody's is going to be the same as mine. So whatever I
Everybody's.
say, don't copy it because it's not necessarily right for you.
Well, Marina, I'm gonna give you a little secret. We've done close to what, 300 interviews. It's our 150th podcast, but we've polled over 2,000 founders. The reason I ask about the word is everyone talks about like similar advice, similar mindset, personality, like the grit, the gumption, the drive, the challenges around like finding, the joy, the purpose, the impact. But everybody's word is different, which I love.
Mm,
We have very little. We've had maybe duplication of words, maybe a handful of times. It is a unique word because everybody's journey is different, but we're so similar
yeah.
in terms of not necessarily how we got there, but what we're struggling with,
Mhm.
how we're overcoming things, how we're self-learning and continuously learning as we get to the different levels, right? Someone said on the show, it was like, was it new level, new devil? As you scale, the challenges they're just different, but
Yeah.
they're still challenges.
Yeah.
So I love it. So yeah, you are not alone, Marina. You
Thank
are
you.
not alone. Where can people get a hold of you, connect with you, help support you, learn more about where can they find Superhera?
Yes. So my personal LinkedIn, which is at Marina Paul, and then same with my Instagram, and then Superhera is just how it sounds like superhero, but with an A on Instagram.
Correct. I love it. Well, that's a wrap on today's chaos, but the journey doesn't stop here. If you found yourself nodding along, laughing, or maybe even yelling, same, same, Marina, we're not alone. Make sure to subscribe, share, and leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple. You can dig deeper into founder resources or more episodes, and we've got a lot of tools over at orangewhip.com. That is orangewip.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay scrappy, and remember, we are all a work in progress. We are all a WIP, whip, the whippers. I'll see you again next week.